Hi, I'm Paul Levinson. You're listening to Light On, Light Through, and this is Episode 5, The Wire Without Stringer. Stringer Bell, that is. When you walk through the garden, you better watch your back. That's Way Down in the Hole by Tom Waits. It may be the best song on television. It comes from certainly the best show about the real world on television, The Wire. Now this means I'm not comparing The Wire to Battlestar Galactica or even to 24, my two other favorite shows on TV, because that would be like comparing not apples to oranges, but maybe apples to androids or apples to adrenaline. But I'm sure of this. The Wire has surpassed The Sopranos in the range, subtlety, intensity, and eloquence of the bad guys portrayed. Perhaps even The Godfather as well. Now the cop part of the show is excellent, but we've pretty much seen it before on Homicide, Life on the Street, the 1990s NBC tour de force. The alcoholic detective, the political police chiefs, the heroic lieutenant, all of those guys are played to perfection on The Wire, but we've been in those gritty precincts of Baltimore before. Where we've rarely been is next to D'Angelo Barksdale, played by Larry Gilliard Jr., the drug dealer street manager with a serenity and a heart, or Stringer Bell, played by Idris Elba, the drug-dealing second-in-command with an intellect, and Adam Smith's Wealth of Nations on his bookshelf. Who was I chasing? Detective McNulty asked himself when he came upon this book in Stringer's apartment in the next-to-last episode of the third season of The Wire. Who indeed? Well, someone like no other criminal you've ever met before. In between ordering murders, Tony Soprano watches the History Channel. Michael Corleone goes to the opera. And Stringer Bell, well, he goes to night school and he reads classics in economics. So who's the more unusual, dangerous, perversely admirable? If you've got a few days or a few weeks, do yourself a favor and find out in the first 3 seasons of The Wire. But now we're into the 4th season of The Wire, and I gotta say that although it's been very enjoyable so far, with a good Baltimore political campaign that resonates very well with this time of year, hey, I find the politicos on The Wire more real in many ways than the guys who talk on Chris Matthews' Hardball every night. But I gotta say that I'm beginning to feel that this will not be one of The Wire's best seasons. And the reason is Stringer Bell's absence. The greatest strength of the show, as I was saying, its truest genius, always resided in the surprising humanity and subtlety of its drug-dealing bad guys. But most of the originals are gone. First, they killed off D'Angelo Barksdale on Stringer's order. Then Stringer got his just dessert. Just for him, unjust for us, the viewers, and our continuing enthrallment in the show. And Avon Barksdale, out and in and out and now back in prison again, is nowhere to be seen this year. Marlowe Stanfield, the new, young, tough drug kingpin, is good. That is, he seems unremittingly evil. And that's good. But it's also the problem, because he apparently has almost no redeeming qualities, and that makes him much less intriguing than D'Angelo and Stringer. Omar, anti-hero of the show for all 4 seasons, who preys upon the drug dealers, he helped kill Stringer, does have some heroically conflicted qualities. But I don't think they'll be enough to carry the show to the heights it reached in its first 3 years. Stringer Bell, played to perfection by Idris Elba, was more than heroically conflicted, more than a villain with redeeming qualities. He attended night school, had the wealth of nations on his shelf, saw clearly that he had to put his money in something other than drugs if he wanted to survive. He saw that clearly, but he couldn't quite do that in time to save himself. So his death put him in the realm of Michael Corleone being pulled back in even as he was struggling to get out. And that was brilliantly appropriate for the story arc of The Wire, but it left the future of the show in the lurch. Maybe that's okay. Maybe The Wire, having achieved that height with Stringer, can continue and succeed on a slightly lower level. That would still leave it a great show, far better than 99% of everything else on television. Well, not better than Battlestar Galactica this year, but that's still pretty good. In the meantime, well, listen to this.
Listen, in 1994, young Johnny pushing that raw, selling that more pills in the pharmacy store, still on parole for some ting before. Not a worry to Johnny, this was his life and he wasn't sorry. Not afraid, not bummy neither, underachiever, but ambition so fierce, kinda hard to please. Hence the reason I'm standing there with Johnny in a deep argument with some Greeks, man, they call the parliament. Head guy didn't seem to do the math right, so the numbers came short.
Idris Elba's brand new recording of Johnny Was. Great lyrics, great rhymes. I've always loved a good rhyme, like argument, parliament. Lots of good rhymes, lots of good words in that song, and some pretty good music too. So we may not have Stringer Bell on The Wire anymore, but we have him, or Idris Elba, singing some great songs. And if you want to hear that whole song, Johnny Was, you can find it on MySpace, which is the root of a lot of good music these days. And Idris's MySpace page, where you can hear that whole song, is www.myspace.com/IdrisMusic. IDRISMUSIC. Well worth listening to. And speaking of well worth listening to, I'd love to hear what you have to say about this show. And so I've put in a little icon. You'll find it on the lower right-hand column of my screen. If you go to lightonlightthrough.com, look in the lower right-hand column. You'll see a little bird with a little few words that say, "Talk to me." And if you click on that, you can actually record a message. It's recorded on audio.com, and I can pick it up and I'll put it on some subsequent episode of Light On, Light Through. So I look forward to hearing from you. And finally, speaking of listening for some good things, I always keep an ear out for good podcasts on the web. So take a listen to this group of clips I assembled for you. Enjoy, and I'll see you next time.
Check out the Mike Thinks podcast, www.mikethinks.com. News and current events with an opinion. The Mike Thinks podcast. It's the news you missed. www.mikethinks.com.
Are you a Battlestar Galactica fan? If you are, you need to check out the Combat Information Center. It's available at www.alanlight.com/Galactica. That's www.alanlight.com/Galactica. It's your one-stop source for all things Galactica.
Do you enjoy science fiction and fantasy literature?
Yeah.
Are you interested in trends within the publishing industry?
Sure.
Then you need to check out the Adventures in Sci-Fi Publishing podcast.
Really?
That's right. Early episodes feature interviews with Ray Bradbury, Paul Levinson, R.A. Salvador, and more.
That's awesome!
Don't take my word for it. Go to www.adventuresinscifipublishing.blogspot.com and subscribe today. Or look it up in iTunes.
Prepare for the adventure.
Sometimes questions are more powerful than answers. How is this happening? What are they? Why them and not others? Why now? What does it all mean?
In a world where ordinary individuals
I was at a bar. I had a beer.
begin to discover their unique abilities.
I think I can fly.
10 people from across the nation will chronicle the events as they unfold,
I'm gonna be a hero.
guiding fans from all over the world deeper into the extraordinary lives of heroes. The Ninth, a Heroes Netcast. www.heroescast.com. Also available on iTunes.
In a world full of hopelessness and despair, only two guys had the power to deliver the world from certain destruction. Nathan and Carlos are Podcast Pendulum. Doing things only a small amount of podcasts had done before them. Only they can save the world. Watch it all unfold at podcastpendulum.podomatic.com.
Have you been injured listening to average podcasts? Have you been the victim of pod faders? Have you been fraudulently induced to listen to a podcast that has substandard pod-safe music and a really lame host? Then I urge you to subscribe to The Jersey Todd Show at www.jerseytoddshow.com. When another podcast is responsible for your podcasting injuries, we will work to provide you with the best podcast experience available. Jersey Todd is a real New Jersey lawyer, but has no desire to waste your time talking about the law. On The Jersey Todd Show, you'll hear a unique mix of pod-safe music with the best rants on the net. Just listen to one of our satisfied listeners.
I used to subscribe to them podcasts with that there iPod. After 5 minutes, my ears hurt. Then I got smaller earbuds. Now my ears don't hurt so bad. And, oh yeah, I listened to that Jersey Todd Show. That's some fine listening.
Or listen to our celebrity endorser, Matthew Ebel.
Hey, this is Matthew Ebel, and I've been listening to
The Jersey Todd Show with Todd from Jersey.
And it's okay.
So if you're in an accident or injure yourself at work and you're injured really badly and there's blood and bone everywhere, you should call an ambulance. Chances are the ambulance driver is listening to The Jersey Todd Show. www.jerseytoddshow.com.